Hello everyone and welcome to the Friday evening review here from the third round of the FIA Karting European Championship with myself, Chris McCarthy, and I'm pleased to say we're joined by race director Nigel Edwards. We're at the Ampfing circuit in Germany. So Nigel, first of all, thank you for taking the time
Good evening.
to join us.
Everybody.
First opinions, of course. How's the day gone for you so far? We've had qualifying today, practice as well. How's the day been for yourself?
Actually, I think the day's gone pretty well. I mean, we arrived yesterday. Obviously, that's not an official CIK part of the organisation. We start here Friday morning, but the circuit seemed to have got the practice well underway. That seemed okay. We've taken over today as the CIK with our organisation, with the help of the people here at the circuit, and it's been a pretty good day. We had a few heartaches last night and a few issues on circuit with track limits and the chicane, but I think we found an amicable solution which suits both safety and the sporting side of it. So there's a bit of heartache last night, I think as well, because we've come here to Ampfing, although it's probably got a history of the early 2000s when they've had major events here. This is the first event of this stature for quite a while, and it is a big leap from running, club races or even DKM, dare I say, to the CIK level. It is quite a lot for the club and the people here to take on board. I hope, and I'm sure they will find it a learning curve.
Well, thanks for joining again. As I said, we're going to be going through the results later on in the programme. We're going to be talking about the track. We're going to be talking track limits, about some of the slow procedures. But we are going to start, Nigel, you said it's your first time here, as it is for myself. How do you prepare for a meet? When does your preparations for an event like this begin? As it's a new track, has it changed to how you may have prepared for PF?
Yeah, sure. And I mean, I do like to do my homework, like I'm sure you do, with your publicity and press side of it. The first thing is obviously to find out what the track does, what happens here. Perhaps look at some video reviews that people have got. Obviously DKM have been here, so we look at the things they've done. I think also then you get to a little bit more of the nitty gritty. What is the track layout? How does the track work? That pit in, pit out looks a little bit tricky. Is it how so you try and get your head around exactly how that's going to be. And then again, as I mentioned to you before, my take on it all is once we've got that preparation done, is then to make sure that we allow that to come out to the competitor. By the way, today, you've been going in on this entrance because it was free practice. Today, you need to go into Parc Fermé. And it is a bit of change for the drivers, and the more we can get that instilled and do our homework, the better it's going to be.
I mean, one of the things that may have scared you will be the chicane, as it does for the actual drivers itself. Track limits through there. Now, looking back through videos, people have used barriers through there. They've used lots of different things, cones. What have you guys put in place? Because I know there were videos being posted this week on social media of people sort of highlighting the track limits that they didn't think it was quite. There was nothing in place. Something is in place. Just tell us about it.
Yeah, I think again it's like everything these days with the social media. Everything becomes in the spotlight, and I'm sure karting is no different to other sports, but we get very, very focused then on the one thing, and it almost takes over. So like yesterday, the day was almost taken over, even for our side of it, on trying to find a sensible solution. And the solution to me, when we arrive at this late stage, is one of two things. The first thing, it's got to be safe, and then secondly, we like to try and make sure that we can monitor it and manage it in a fair way. Not always easy, and I think the solution we've come up with is probably a pretty reasonable solution. It's not perfect. And if we just backtrack from that, and I know the circuit inspection's been done, I think there was some offers of what should be done, but I think sort of the volume and the amount of work that was necessary was not something you were going to do in a week or 2 weeks. It's probably a project for a bigger day. I think typically what you've got is a circuit that is fantastic in the year 2000, but has probably been outgrown with karting and karts in the year 2018. If you have a look at the first corner here, you can clearly see they had some kind of a left and a right turn, which now we go straight through. And I'm not saying we want to make it easier or whatever for the drivers, but clearly from a safety point of view, that's got to be a better move. For me, I think it just needs a bit more thought, and maybe it's a reprofiling of the corner. It's not a case of do we put cones, do we put flip-flops, do we put barriers, it's more than that. It just needs a little bit more in-depth thinking, I think.
But for now, obviously,
Yep.
tell us what it is that is going to be in place for this weekend.
Okay.
Exactly, because I can't remember the name of what it is that's there, but there is something there.
There is something there, and again, I gather it was used here in the championships probably 2 or 3 years ago, and basically I would call it a flip-flop. In England, I know we have
not literally
a flip-flop. No, it is fixed to the ground. It does have a base which stands probably 30mm above the ground, but fitted to that across it is basically a plastic flap which stands that sort of height. Obviously it's facing the traffic, so if you go over that it will fall down, but it springs back up again.
Right.
In testing here, I know we tried to help the circuit by putting cones down. Cones were fine until you hit the cone. 2 things, then the cone is on the track and becomes an obstacle, and the second thing is then the cone's no longer there, so everybody shortcuts the chicane. So it was trying to find a balance between the two. From my point of view, and as you say, we've seen some of the social media and things like that, maybe at the time the barrier wasn't in the right place or whatever, maybe that was a solution, but clearly when you've got something like that in your head, from a safety point of view, it would probably be not a great thing to backtrack that way. I think this is a reasonable solution. The good thing is nothing's going to go on the track, so even if you hit it, you're not going to knock anything on the track, but clearly there will be penalties. I think in time qualifying, what we said is the fastest lap would be taken away for a hit, and I think you'll find there's probably 7 penalties being given across the time quali. Racing's a little bit more different, and I know when you've got a lot of karts following through, and I think the idea there will be if people are continually hitting it, then it will be a report to the stewards. And then the stewards can watch the video. My take on that, if it's your first time, maybe then you get a ticking off. Right. I'm not a steward, so I can't say that. But if it was me, that's what I'd say. But if you were there and the video clearly shows that every lap you're going across there, then I'm afraid that will be a penalty. And you've got to remember it's track limits as well. Without that there, we could have nothing there at all, and in theory, if the cart's passed with the full cart over that white line, that is officially a penalty. So we could be silly and just say that's how it's going to be, penalised, but that's not in anybody's interest in my book,
No.
So hopefully we found a reasonable solution for the weekend.
Good stuff. Let's go on to something that was talked about in the briefing this morning, the slow procedure. There was a little bit of an incident, unfortunately, at PF, which we all remember. Well, I said we all remember. For those of you who didn't see it, you probably don't want to see it, but thankfully everyone was okay. It was to do with the slow procedure, drivers getting a little bit confused when they were to go, whether they were still slowing down. What was said to the drivers this morning?
I think this for me is a great thing about karting, and I have to say, to the OK junior drivers, great respect. They came to the briefing, they did want to listen, they did want to understand, and again, I think, for me as a race director, I'm in it, boys, I'm with you, I want to make it as safe and as fair for you as I possibly can. What we explained was that I think the confusion was that the digital board that we now use in the races from Apex Timing was actually showing still, it's got the slow marker on there, even though the marshals had done everything right by going with the stationary yellow and the slow board. Everybody then next time round was going to go green. So what happened was the board still showed that marker on there, but the flag went green. Obviously that would have cleared immediately the first guy because it's an electronic function. But we've explained to the guys where that works, how it works. We've explained to them again about, even in a good slow procedure, sometimes the leader wants to do his little slow, little fast, little slow, and all of a sudden, just like the Formula 1 guys, I'm going to get a charge on you. But what happens then, the guys at the back are not ready for it. They've already got their toe down, they've seen the green flag and they're going. So, but I was really pleased, and I would say to the OK junior drivers, thank you guys, because you did pay attention. Hopefully I've explained it in a way that we can all understand and we can move forward.
Good stuff. Well, it's coming to the end, so let's go through the result. In the OK Junior class, Paul Aron was pole from Kai Aski, Nikita Bedrin, Luca Griggs, Gabriele Mini, Sebastian Ojard, Gabriel Bortoletto, Hadrian Darid, Loris Cabarrou, Ben Doyle. So some drivers way down in the championship like Cabarrou, David, Ojard right up there, as well as our championship contenders in Mini, Aron and Aski. One of the big surprises, Delano Van Hoff all the way down in 21st, and he of course is third in the championship. Zach O'Sullivan was third, by the way, but got a penalty, so he's in 13th. And then in the OK, Janka from Travis Anuto, then it was Thompson, Valtonen, Curl, Sasse, Patterson, Michelotto, Maloney, Coluccio and Stanek. No huge surprises there.
Big names.
Yeah,
big
perhaps
names
Luigi Coluccio. But the big surprises came further down the field. Our championship leader, Hiltbrand, is down in 33rd. David Vidales, who's fourth in the championship, is 31st. So they were the surprises. They were the results. He's been Nigel Edwards. Thank you for joining us. We go racing tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.